Hello, beautiful ones. I hope you are well today. Have a very important video today that I need to talk to you about, a big subject. So let me do something right here to make sure everything stays live. All right. So here's the thing, dear ones. I wanted to check on you. I know things are ramping up in the world, and my divine team has certainly had to work with me to make some things very clear so that I get some things and some messages that I need to share with all of you. And so this video isn't exactly for my regular followers. They've been following me for a while. I have women that have been on here for many years. And what I realized today is that I am being given information to be able to share things in a different fashion. The title of this video is going to be The Great Deception. And as I share some of this, I must tell you, I must confess that my inside long ago Southern Baptist wife self was all on alert about, really, are you going to do this video? But it is very clearly being given to me to give the message. So here's the thing, is what I want you to know. I want to pull up something right here. The Great Deception. So my divine team has been working with me on two very important things, and I'm going to use that as kind of the launching point. Please understand that for my regular followers, what I need you to do for this space, because you are so incredibly powerful, is I need you to fill this space with as much love and hope and peace as you can. Even if your human side is going alert on some of the things that I say, I need you to make this a container. Make this the most beautiful, loving container, because you all are actually anchors for much of this. So give me a thumbs up or a heart if you understand what I'm saying. I need your energy for this one, because this video is actually made for the future. It is made for people that are trying to figure out what has happened after the shift. Now, as I learn more and am able to articulate more, I'm working on ways to do that, I will do more so in the upcoming weeks and months. Most people are feeling that there is a fundamental shift coming, and there is. It has been referred to in prophecy, all kinds of old folklore, no matter where you are in the world, a variety of different ways about how there was a shift coming in humanity, a shift in consciousness. Some people call it a new earth. Some people call it the rapture. Other people call it 5D. Other people, there's so many words for it. So wherever it is that you have your understanding, there is a shift upon us. Now, I could not be more excited and more thrilled about what's going to be for the future of humanity. It is important, however, that I give you, in a very loving space, my understanding of the great deception that has kept many people trapped. And so I'm making this video for others in the future that will begin to try to make sense of what has been happening and what is happening and what their choices are. And so I want to anchor this entire video around the fact that you always have a choice to create a different life for yourself. That's number one. I also want to anchor it in as much love as I can here. And I want you to know that you always have the ability to be able to tap into my loving energy that is connected to the divine, to be able to help you process the things that I'll bring up today. Okay? So, the Great Deception. So it's really important. I'm going to mention some tools and some things, resources for you all, because I've been wondering why I was drawn to the Russell Museum, and it's starting to become very clear to me. And so this is kind of layer one of what I want to talk to you about, the Great Deception. So one of the things my divine team has been working hard with me on is understanding that two things can be true at the same time. Two things can be true at the same time, because our human self really wants to believe either this is correct or this is correct. And they've been working with me. This has been a hard shift for me. I'll confess to you, a difficult shift for me to understand that there can be two things true at the same time. And really, that's what the perception is, but really there's only one truth. So let me give you an example. Part of my frustration in life, having been raised in the South, hello, sweet sisters, is the Bible was very precious to me. Very precious to me. And I had quite a bit of inspiration and love that came through what I'd learned about it. And then came a time in my life where I learned that the Bible had been manipulated, and that was very difficult for me to understand because I came from a framework that said you either believe all of it or none of it. Sound familiar, anyone? So what I've learned, and I rejected those things for a while, and then I came back, and then I broadened it, expanded it to understand that there are so many belief systems that bring something quite glorious, and how we're all using different languages to say much of the same thing. When it comes to what I finally realized is that, are there beautiful things in the Bible, and do they have many, many, many things for us to learn and understand? Absolutely. Glorious, glorious. Are there things in the Bible that have been manipulated to keep us held hostage for reasons that were put in motion long before most of us were born? Yes. And so hang with me, because I know this is going to be a touchy subject, and I want you to continue breathing through this. Okay, breathing through this, because the great deception has something to tie into consciousness. So I want to mention David Hawkins' work. Go and Google one of his maps where he shows you the different levels of the emotions that are tied into the levels of consciousness. There's lots of them out there. It's very sophisticated work. You don't have to read the whole book, okay? But you can go look at his drawings. David Hawkins. His drawings talk about how the lower consciousness feelings keep us trapped. Shame, guilt, apathy, grief, fear. I'll call those the big five. Shame, guilt, apathy, grief, fear. The big five. I began to learn many years ago that we have the power to create our own heaven or our own hell. And there was a period of time in my life, keep holding the container of love, dear ones. There was a period of time in my life where I created my own hell on earth. And I began to realize that I did not have to go somewhere else. I did not have to pass over in order to go to hell, because I was creating my hell, because I was tangled up in the big five. Shame, guilt, apathy, grief, fear. Okay? Really, really deep into that. And for many, many years, I share that story in my book, Your Lion Inside. I share how I created such a life for myself, and that my life was completely blown apart. When we are in those emotions, we can't see clearly. Everything is distorted. We don't make smart decisions. We tend to be steeped in judgment. I would actually add judgment to that list myself. You become steeped in judgment. Judgment of your own belief system, judgment of others, judgment of the situation that you're living. It's either good or bad. When you begin to broaden your level of consciousness, I see you, Miss Ida. When you begin to broaden your level of consciousness, you learned how to raise your consciousness. In systems thinking, I had been talking about how you climb the ladder. Climb higher is the calling card for humanity. And then you move up to, you move up through things like anger and pride, but then quickly into courage, neutrality, willingness, acceptance. And so when you look at his scale online, I'm sorry, I don't have a color copy to show you, but when you look at the scale online, what the purpose is for us to move higher to inner light, inner wisdom, inner love, those kinds of things. Think about how many of us were brought up in very, very strong religions where one of the number one things that were sold to us was fear. Fear. Shame. Guilt. You see where I'm going, dear ones? What I'm beginning to understand is that is Jesus going to save us, or is he not going to save us? So hang with me as I tap dance on this very delicate subject. I want to be very clear that I was raised a Christian. I believe that Jesus represents love. What I've always been uncomfortable with, the way organized religion, was that how they distorted that we had both. I remember studying the Bible extensively, and how do we have a loving God and an angry God? Those two things did not make sense to me at a soul level. This is something I struggled with since a child. What I've come to learn in my advanced studies is that love really is the only thing that is in the universe. So on one hand, the message that he has given us of love, that is the highest, most powerful level of vibration possible. And when we make a conscious choice to tune into love, remember I talked about yesterday, I tuned into a child. That was where I could feel my loving space because I wanted to go down to these lower consciousness things in that moment. tuning into love. Love is the most powerful force in the universe. In that case, will that save us as humanity? Absolutely. And let me give you the other side. I was brought up in an area, a time where they believed if you said I was saved by Jesus, it was perfectly okay to be hateful and full of shame and full of guilt and full of apathy and full of fear. Think about how large, it doesn't matter what religion we're from, dear ones. Think about how much fear plays a role in it. There is a shift coming. Those that have been deceived, this is where I call the Great Deception. And this is where humanity, it's really important to understand that both have been true at the same time. Love is the most powerful force in the universe. Those that have and still believe that the external authorities are the ones who actually know better than them, that you can be saved, okay, but still be full of hate and judgment and fear and anger. Those two exist in consciousness at the same time, but it depends on which level of the scale that you're on. So what we're being asked to right now is to climb higher to the highest element of love and hope and peace and harmony, no matter what happens around us, dear ones. Because what's happening right now is the pressure is going to get larger and larger. And that's why it was so important for me to come on here. And remember, I'm not necessarily talking to all of you that are here with me, that have been following me. This is a video for the future, after the shift, when people are trying to make sense. Because there's going to come a day that it doesn't matter which belief system that you subscribe to. In all of the religions around the world, there's both of these things happening. There's judgment and hate and fear, and there's love and hope. And people oscillate between the two. How many times have we seen people have war and bloodshed over what they call religion? That is not love. And so I will begin to map some of this out as we go along. What I want to say to all of you, because for a moment, there was like this, I've met many a very good soul. We're all good souls. I've met many a good soul who has been so steeped in the dogma of believing that, and out there preaching that you are going to hell if you don't do it my way. And what they don't understand is that has been the dark side's attempt to infiltrate and tarnish and taint and deceive, to keep as many people as possible down in the lower states of consciousness of shame and guilt and grief and fear and judgment. That was the plan, dear ones. And so things have been confusing for us at a human level. I completely get that. It is taking me an enormous amount of silence and prayer and dedication and understanding to find my way through this. But here is my reality, my most loving reality that I want to share with you is we are inching closer to a shift. It is simply time for humanity to shift. And you have heard me on past videos. What I finally understood this morning was that in past videos, I've been giving you nuggets all along. Because these videos are not going to simply serve the people who I'm speaking to now. They're going to serve even far more after the shift. And I want you to feel the love. You can go back 2 years. You can feel the love that I've had. And very openly sharing my human journey to figure out how do we make our way through this. And so if you come to that point, and the thing that I keep thinking about the lovely older ladies and gentlemen that I've known and loved in some of these churches that are so steeped in fear and judgment that they firmly believe that Jesus is going to pluck them out and save them, yet their consciousness is full of all the lower consciousness energies. And then there's that verse that talks about how one will be standing beside another and one will disappear and the other one will stay in the field. My heart is a little bit sad. I know there's a divine order to it all, but it makes my heart sad when I think about some of those that really did think they were believing the right thing. And they're going to wonder what happened when there's a shift and they're still here. So the rest of you, I want you to fill this container with love. What I want you to know is that if at any time you perhaps are one of those that are wondering what happened, There have been, there's many, many pathways, many nuggets for you to find your way out, because at any time that you decide to shift your consciousness to the higher order of things, you'll be able to make the shift. But it comes down to love, and that doesn't matter what language, what country, what religion, wherever you are. It is about love. And what I want you to know, dear ones, okay, I see some sadness there, and I want to bring you much peace and hope here. What's happened is that we've had the past 2.5 years to be able to make a shift. And no man knows the time, because it's a finessing of energy. And that's where I'm hoping that I'll be able to pull this together and show it to you more, because I very clearly got it this morning. Much through my own struggle and pain, I might add, because my human self was wanting to shut it down. Shut it down. And I can't even tell you the fear that was really percolating when I was very clearly hearing my divine team say, go make this video. And I was like, well, then I might get kicked out of the family again, and I'll have people mad at me, and I'll have messages that are sent to me. And they said, do you love them enough? And the answer is yes. Yes. I want to bring up a couple of things to you. So one is, I think this work will be helpful to you if you're wondering what happened. It is the level of consciousness, dear ones, not what we have been taught before. Love is the most powerful force in the universe. The other book I want to recommend to you is one by Lao Russel, and it's called Why You Cannot Die. Why You Cannot Die. I didn't understand why I was brought to the museum and why all that I've been studying, you've been hearing me talk about these things, and I'm finally getting it. Because those of us that become so trapped by the dogma, and please understand, dear ones, I was trapped for many years, many years, decades, where I didn't get this. I was as knee deep in all of this stuff that I'm talking about. I have spent the past 15 years working my way out of it, and that is because I went bankrupt and lost everything. And as I talk about in Your Lion Inside, I had nowhere to go but up. So I had that intense depth and pain is what propelled me to re-understand things. The book, Why You Cannot Die, I talked with some folks over the weekend, and it was very profound for them. And I know you've all heard about reincarnation. I know Miss Ida keeps sending love, dear ones. I know people get hung up on reincarnation, and what I want you to understand, so I've done so much work in systems thinking. You can find things that the videos I've done in the past on my YouTube channel where I talk about this, and I will do this more and more. The world right now, and a human self, believes the world is linear. Here, here, here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, linear. What I've been teaching leaders for all these years is the world is not linear, it is circular, because there's always a host of unintended consequences. We actually live in a circular world, dear ones. There's a lovely, lovely company I want to mention to you. It's called Conscious Ink. And you can get temporary tattoos. And this was a tattoo where it had balance in a circle, because that's what we're asked to be, is to be balanced. When I worked my way out, I was very confused when I first heard of this whole concept of reincarnation. I didn't get it. I didn't understand it. Why would I choose these things? And in fact, I was really angry. I'll be honest with you. I was very angry about it, because I was still in those lower consciousness levels. I want to be really clear. Well, what happened is one day I was like, what if it was true? So I began to walk dual paths. I've talked about this in previous videos. I began to walk dual paths, because if that was true, that I was going to come back to learn whatever lessons I'd missed this time, I had this deep gnawing, because I had so pissed off at the pain and the angst that I had lived through, that I was like, no way I'm doing this again. I'm going to get as much mileage from this lifetime as I can to make sure. Oh, no way, Tina, I love that. I was going to get as much mileage from this lifetime as I could to make sure I didn't have to do it again. And so what I thought was, for years, is I was running parallel paths. I had my religious beliefs. I had this understanding that I want to gain as much as I can out of this lifetime, so that I can make sure that if in the off chance this was true, that I would not have to repeat the same things, because I did not want to. It was way too painful. What I thought were two separate paths were actually a path that merged. Fascinating, isn't it? It was a path that merged, because the more I began to learn about patterns and things in nature, so I want you to think about a pine cone, is that we see one pine cone. But dear ones, a pine cone has many of these facets. We see a dahlia as one flower, but it has many elements there in the dahlia. The more I learned as I began to go down this path, I recognized that everything we needed to know was mirrored for us in nature. In nature. And that is where the profound learning came for me. And I began to understand that part of our confusion here in humanity was because we didn't understand a cosmic lingo. We didn't understand the divine understanding, and we couldn't at this level. But that's really part of why we're here. And so that book by Lao Russel, Why You Cannot Die, gives you an understanding that we are an infinite soul. That takes some rewiring if we have been trained and have bought into the fear that so many of us were trained in. And so here's how I began to understand how these things emerged. And I'm saying this from as much heartfelt love, dear ones, because it is very important to understand that all the things that have transpired over the past 2.5 years were to trigger fear, were to trigger anger, were to trigger judgment, were to trigger shame. Can you begin to see where this larger cosmic game, the game that was being played with us, all of those things are purposeful to keep us at the lower consciousness levels, so that when the time comes and there's enough of that energy where there's a propulsion, I'll talk more about that in the future, a propulsion where bam, the shift happens. That's why no man can know the hour or the time. It is so much larger and more glorious than our human understanding can be. So, these are big concepts. Big concepts. One of the most important ways that I've found my way through this is I have found that if anything, any decision or action or words that I am choosing to use is based in fear, then I am operating at the lower consciousness and I am not choosing love. Any decisions, words that I'm saying, actions that I'm taking that are based in judgment of myself or others, that was a hard one, then it's not in love. Anything that I am knee deep in anger, when I found out about some of the atrocities and some of the deception that has been so deep, and I know some of you know what I'm talking about. Absolutely, Miss Tina. I know some of you know what I'm talking about. You have anger, and it took a while for me to work through that anger. The opposite side of anger is divine justice, divine understanding, of knowing that it's going to come full circle, of trusting divine timing. So we were given time to work through a lot of that over the past 2 years. We were rejected. We were many times vilified. We were crucified. We were packed up against the wall. We doubted ourselves. We doubted others. We doubted humanity. We lost our faith. All of that was to bring us to a glorious point that we could understand that love was the most powerful force in the universe. I'm not pretending it's easy, dear ones. I do know that it's worth it. I do know that both sides are playing a role. This has been very hard for me as a human being to accept, that both sides, that both sides play a role. My human self has wanted to judge it all, because oddly enough, it was based in a place of love, because I loved these children and these women enough that I didn't want the pain to be there. It is worth the hard work, Miss Rita, to understand that all of that pain, all of that challenge, all of that difficulty is worth the work to unravel, so that we may find that center of love and trust and the larger game plan. we can't see much of it here, dear ones, and that's what's been so frustrating. So a shift is coming. I don't know when, loves. None of us do. What's happening is that the forces at play, the energy, and remember all energy is neutral. The forces at play, the energy is trying to keep as many as possible down into those lower levels of consciousness. And then there's a larger light that's playing it here. The pure light, not the false light, the pure light that's here, that many of us have been able to raise our consciousness. Hello, Miss Christie. To raise our consciousness. And what's happening is it's almost like these opposing forces that are going to come together at some point where it's almost like, you know how like a tornado comes down, you begin to see the swirling and then bam, it hits down. Well, there's a wonderful picture, a wonderful painting in the Russel Museum, which I will show you a picture. I should have taken it this weekend, but dear ones, I'm still learning myself and waking up. I didn't put all this together. But whenever the forces are coming from above, there are also forces coming from below, and it meets. It meets. So that's what's happening right now, is that the blink of an eye, so Mary Lou, that's what's happening, is that the blink of an eye is not someone else coming to save us. It's, are we tapping into the power of love to catapult us so that there's enough of us that are here in love to counteract all the ones that are still down here in the fear. This is the message, dear ones. And so for those of you that typically follow me, do your homework to be able to integrate these. These are nuggets that have been given to me over the past few days, and I must tell you, it has been a human struggle for me, and then a few hours ago it was crystallized. And I was like, I get it. It's all a catalyst. So for those of you that are shifting, I'll see you on the other side. For those of you that haven't shifted yet, what I want to come on here is say, I'm going to see you soon. Because it's all a choice, dear ones. We each have the power to save ourselves. That's what I talked about in Your Lion Inside. We are not powerless. This energy of victimhood and feeling powerless is part of this dimension, this illusion, has worked so hard to keep us at that lower consciousness level. That was the game. And dear ones, that the ones who have been following me know that as this becomes more intense, don't be surprised by this. The more the intensity goes that wants to bring us down, that is a signal to you and I, dear ones, that our love needs to be greater, that our light needs to be really, really, really important. It's important for you to understand that. So the more intense, the more fear, the more anger, the more guilt, the more shame, the more of all of that, dear ones. The more we see of it, the more grief, the greater we need to love. The greater opportunity we have to choose to love. Choose to love. So understand that we're all playing this role in this cosmic game that is going to serve humanity at a level that is so beautiful and so amazing and so profound that it's going to shift what happens generations from now. And you, dear one, are a part of it. So understand that I'll see you on the other side when the shift comes. However that shows up for us, however glorious it's going to be. And if you're watching this video because you're not sure what has happened, then know that all of these beautiful souls that are here connected in this video are sending you a lot of love. Reach up and grab it. Reach up and grab it no matter what is happening around you, no matter what appears to be all of these things that keep you down. Know that at any moment you can say, I want that love. I choose love. I choose. And know we're going to be right there cheering you on. So dear ones, I want to thank you for your patience, my sweet sisters. I know this was a big topic. I have known for quite some time. I'm sending you all much love to Miss K. I have known for quite some time that part of my role in all of this was to be a synthesizer, to gain a greater understanding and clarity of so many different perspectives so that I could lovingly honor each one and bring you to a place of greater understanding. So I gave you some tools. These are big thoughts, big concepts. More will be coming. I will share as much as I can. And no, dear ones, there are a lot of beautiful ones out there that are doing their work to bring these things to light. There's a lot of interviews on my podcast, The Sisterhood Report. You will see lots of interviews that are positive and then some interviews that cover some of the tough times. I'm leaving a trail of all of these things so that you can absolutely examine every aspect of what I have been doing here in this life. I get it now. You see, it was hard for me when my books wouldn't sell as fast, okay? My books would not sell as fast. It was hard for me when I couldn't gain the following, and I was like, why? It wasn't time. It wasn't time. But now, all of these seedlings, dear ones, all of the things, the podcast is on iTunes. You can go look up the Sisterhood Report. There's many episodes. I think we're up to almost 40 episodes. I'll be doing more, and I will continue to do as much as I can to lay as much groundwork and lay as many breadcrumbs to simply assist in the synthesis and the greater understanding. And what I want to end with all of this, dear ones, is to know that there's great hope and there's great peace and there's great harmony coming. It is our choice. Do we want it? And this is a moment by moment, a day by day decision on our part. So when we have instances that try really hard to pull us down, as I was describing to you what happened to me on Monday, when we are being pulled down, begin to notice when you're going down, and then shift your focus. Shift your focus. And do remember that love, dear ones, is the most powerful force in the universe. If you will spend time with your divine team and ask questions, say, please make this clear. Help me understand how to let go of some of the human perspectives that I have and help me tap into the divine perspectives. It will absolutely be done. But it's your choice, dear ones. And what we've lived through over the past 2.5 years are a whole lot of people who haven't wanted to do the work. And so the work will get harder. But still know that even for them, dear ones, there is a glorious time coming. So this was, I hope this was helpful. Feel free to ask questions. Feel free to reach out to me. I will continue to bring as much love and hope and peace as I can. You know, that's the thing that when people stop me, when I bump into people who see my videos, they say, Kim, no matter what is going on in the world, I can always count on you to come on here and bring peace and hope and love. I know this tap danced on a line today, but do know that it's still rooted in that peace and hope and love. So until next time, dear ones, know that you are loved, know that you can do this, and know that deep down you have all the answers you need deep inside. You are not alone. And I love you. Until next time.